Hi everyone, this is Aaron for zollotech. I'm going to try and answer a question I get a lot. On a lot of videos I've made, people always say, do I get iPhone, Windows Phone 7, or Android? Or a combination of those. Some people say between these two. So we've got iPhone, the iPhone 4, we've got a Samsung Focus running Windows Phone 7, and a Droid X2. So it's kind of everything. And then we also do have a Palm Pre, but I really don't get questioned too much. There are some very select people that really like this device, and I can't say I blame them, but I don't get that question as much. So that's why I'm not including it. So we'll count the Palm Pre out for now until we see how the Pre 3 does and the new WebOS tablet that's coming out from HP. So let's get back to the main question. The main question is, do I get an iPhone, Windows Phone 7, or Android? And the first thing I always ask is, what kind of need do you have? Do you listen to music? Is that your number one priority? Do you want apps, like games, that sort of thing? Do you want productivity? There's so many different questions that you need to throw out there. Now, I can give you my examples and how I use things. I actually find I go between iPhone and Windows Phone 7. Android's not bad, but it doesn't necessarily fit the type of things I look for the most, or I guess I would say the lifestyle that I use. I'm very big into music, and yes, there's Google Music and that sort of thing, which is a really handy service. It uploads your music, and you can listen to it on your Android device. But this really doesn't fit what I do the most, which is listen to music and podcasts. I find I use the iPhone a lot for that. In fact, I was listening to a lot of tech podcasts, as you might imagine, and music, and the iPhone is great for that, and you can download them wirelessly. You can do that with Android, and there's some great things for that, but it just doesn't have the eye candy, which that's going to be a very big argument for some of you. It doesn't have the eye candy or maybe the simplicity that these two phones do. The iPhone, like I said, is great for the MP3 playing, or music, or podcasts, or whatever. Very good for that, and some apps like Twitter, that sort of thing. Everything is a constrained app or place you go for something. On Windows Phone 7, they've combined that into multiple places and hubs. So when you want to look at something that your friends are doing, you go to the People Hub. When you want to look at, Twitter's a hub. When you want to play games, you go to the Xbox Live Hub. When you want to look at pictures, that could be pictures from people on Facebook, it could be pictures you've taken, pictures you've uploaded to SkyDrive, whatever, they're in the Pictures Hub. Everything is combined into hubs on the Windows Phone 7 side. Music and video is under the Music Hub, or Music and Video Hub. On Android, it's completely up to you. So the first thing I say, other than, what's your need, is, do you want to customize? Because if you want to customize, we can easily rule out these two devices. I'm not talking about jailbreaking or anything like that. We're ruling out these two devices, and we're going straight to Android, because Android is all about customization. You can move things around, you can reskin the interface, you can do all sorts of things with all your apps. If I want to make a folder, put it on the desktop or the home screen, I can make a folder with a shortcut to anything I want. There's a lot of people that want to customize, and if you do, just go for Android. If you don't care about that, then you're going to kind of default back to these two devices, or at least consider them more, maybe more than Android. There's lots of different hardware choices on the Android side. If you need a QWERTY keyboard, you can get one. Same with Windows Phone 7, but you can get a QWERTY keyboard. There's so many things you could go back and forth on as far as that's concerned. So now that we've talked about customization in hardware, which the iPhone is the iPhone, and the previous versions you could get, let's talk about their battery life and how they're supported. Battery life seems to be about the same for just about any device nowadays, unless you're running something 4G that seems to take more battery life. But anything standard across the board will get you generally through a day nowadays. The iPhone, I find, gets me through about a day and a half. Windows Phone 7, a day to day and a half. Android, about a day. It just depends on how you use them. If you're very heavy into games and apps, you're going to use more battery. Now, one thing I wanted to mention for the iPhone is accessories. The iPhone has a plethora of accessories. they just don't stop coming out. And one of the advantages to this is this dock connector. Some people love it, some hate it, but the dock connector doesn't just charge, it allows it to communicate with different devices and is an audio out. So in my case, I get in my car, I plug it into a dock. If you've seen it, the Pro Clips video I've done, you plug it into the dock, now it's talking to your stereo or an aux out or however you have it set up, and you're playing music. On the Android and Windows Phone side, the hardware is different. In this case, we have micro USB on the side, and HDMI and a micro USB. On Windows Phone 7, it's on the top, micro USB aux out. The nice thing with the iPhone there is the standard. One dock works for just about any one of them. You can get just about any dock device and it will work with an iPod or an iPhone or whatever you've got. On these devices, it's a little bit different. If you don't mind that and you want to get the accessories specific to these devices, that's not a problem. There's people make those, but it's much easier on the iPhone side. We could go to screen size next. In screen size, as you can see, this is 3.5, this is 4, and this is 4.3. You get to pick when it comes to Windows Phone 7 and Android. The screen size I find to be perfect is 4 inches. I really like the 4-inch screen size. It seems to be right in the comfortable zone, what's good for me. But some people want the huge screen of the Android phones. And you can even go bigger than this to the Dell Streak or something along those lines. But with the iPhone, you get 3.5 inches. They may come out with something bigger in the future, but that's what you get. Very good resolution, but that's all you get. But again, let's go back to apps, because that's really where people live, is in the apps. On an iPhone, you've got hundreds of thousands of apps. You've got, I don't know how many we're up to on Android, but thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds. On Windows Phone 7, we're above 10,000. So it's getting there, and when the Mango update comes out this fall for Windows Phone 7, it will give it multitasking and bring it up to speed and then some with all the other phones. So it really depends what you want to do. It's really going to be up to you, ultimately, obviously, of which phone you're going to pick. They're all fairly well supported. Now with the next version of Android, they're going to be more uniform. Microsoft is standing behind Windows Phone 7 and is pushing that very hard. And Apple is always updating iPhone. So I think we're pretty well situated in that department among all the phones. For me, I tend to keep going back to the iPhone, and that's because I have Apple products, and they all kind of just work together. Although I do like Windows Phone 7 a lot, I'm not really into the customization of Android, and I just kind of like the way things work and look on these two phones. Android works great, it works fine for what it does, but for me, for some reason, aesthetically, I just don't care for the interface as much. It may be a goofy argument to you, and that's why you might pick an Android phone. So I guess the best thing to do is have you guys comment below and tell me what you think and why you choose what phone. So if you have an iPhone, please don't flame or anything like that. If you have an iPhone, tell us why you chose it over the others. If you have a Windows Phone, tell us the same thing. And if you have Android, why did you choose it? Could be anything from customization to specific apps that might be on the iPhone or that might be on Windows Phone 7, or you like Xbox, or back and forth. Just comment below, and if you could comment and try and help whoever's watching out, I think that would be the most useful. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. This is Aaron. We'll see you next time.